Welcome to Building the Future, hosted by Kevin Horick. With millions of listeners a month, Building the Future has quickly become one of the fastest rising programs, with a focus on interviewing startups, entrepreneurs, investors, CEOs, and more. The radio and TV show airs in 15 markets across the globe, including Silicon Valley. For full showtimes, past episodes, or to sponsor the show, please visit buildingthefutureshow.com.
Welcome back to the show. Today we have Cihan Fuat Atkin. He's the founder and CEO at XCINEX Corporation. Welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. I think what you guys are doing, selfishly, is actually really quite fascinating to me because I'm actually surprised that the big companies haven't done what you're doing. But maybe before we get into all that fun stuff, let's get to know you a little bit better and start off with where you grew up.
Sure. Yeah. So my story's a little bit different. I'm actually an immigrant.
Okay.
I was born in Turkey.
Oh,
in
interesting.
Izmir, Turkey. And then when I was about 6 years old, my family decided to move out here for the American dream and
Okay.
wanted us to grow up and get a good education. So we ended up coming into California.
Okay.
My father happened to actually have family already here.
Okay, interesting.
And that was the decision why we came to California. So that was my first experience to the USA. Coming to California and to Los Angeles, and it was always had a special place in my heart. And then I grew up. So I went to first grade in Turkey, and then second grade on, my education has been in the U.S.
Okay. You went to university. What did you take and why?
To university, I went to Penn State.
Okay.
I wanted to, a couple things kind of with that. I wanted to get away from Maryland. At the time, my family was living in Maryland, so I wanted to actually be a little further away, be on my own. And then Penn State had a great wrestling team. I was very good at wrestling during high school, so I wanted to walk on and definitely try my luck at the wrestling team. And so I went to Penn State, didn't really know what I wanted to major in.
Okay.
But business felt pretty natural. I've always had this, personality where I look at things and try to see if I can make it better and solve these kind of intricate business problems. So business came natural. I ended up with a bachelor in business and graduated from Penn State and started working with a family company.
Okay.
My father built a company with his, bare hands. It was a consulting and construction company that did a lot of project development and management overseas.
Gotcha.
He was using his background in Turkey and his network in Turkey to get some big government contracts and try to bring in foreign companies for those. So I would support the family business and try to, help as much as I could. So I grew up kind of shadowing my father. And then once I actually graduated with the Bachelor in Business, the obvious decision was, work with the family business.
Okay. Is that why you took business then, or just because of Dad's background, or why did you go into business?
Well, actually, funny thing, I did not pick business first. I went from economics to criminology, criminal justice, to communications, then to finally business.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, what made you go through all that transition?
Honestly, I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I got into college.
Okay, sure.
I knew that I wanted to be in college. I guess everybody that was the thing to do, right?
Sure.
But I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if my family, when I was growing up, said I should be a doctor. I didn't really feel like being a doctor.
Sure.
No,
I get that.
Yeah. So I was in there and I didn't know what I wanted until like business was, and then being with my father, I guess, or obviously business felt natural, but I wanted to kind of in a way also get out of maybe the family loop, the same thing that I've been around my whole life, but it seemed like it was always pulling me back. And so I ended up majoring in business.
Okay. So you get out of university, walk us through your career up until kind of what you're doing now.
So, obviously, so I get out of university, working with the family business, and then always being an entrepreneur, starting my own businesses on the side, trying to import wine from Turkey, trying
Oh,
to import
interesting.
cheese.
So why'd you try to import those things?
Well, because I saw I was connected between my travels between Turkey and the U.S. for the
Okay.
family business. I was connecting with really interesting people that had opportunities, and I wanted to see if I could capitalize on these opportunities. Having no experience in really in entrepreneurship, it just kept calling me, and I said, why don't I put these opportunities to use and see if I
Interesting.
can actually do something with them. And so I met, let's say, a gentleman that owned a vineyard and was making his own wine out of organic grapes.
Okay.
And I thought it would be a great thing to try to bring to the U.S. One, it would help obviously my country,
Sure.
and two, it would be great because maybe people here would appreciate some, organic Turkish wine. It's not very common.
Interesting. Sure. No, makes
So I
sense.
did that, and throughout those startups and small businesses, I didn't very succeed. Most of them, I failed,
Okay.
and I failed multiple times. I failed with the wine business, the cheese business. I failed with a mobile car wash that I just started.
Okay. But what made
I
you
had
fail? Like you didn't get enough clients or what happened there?
well, no, the company just didn't succeed. It didn't grow, and a lot of times it was because I didn't have the funds to be able to market it correctly or the
Got you.
experience to be able to grow the business. So a lot of these businesses that I started on the side was a great experience for me, and they were in the business world failures, but in my
Okay.
mind they were all great lessons to just sharpen me and
Sure.
prepare me for the future.
No, I think that's really good advice because I think so many people think as a failure is such a negative thing, but at least in my experience, the things I've learned the most from are either working at companies where you learn what not to do is almost more valuable than learning what to do, right? At least in my experience. Have you, and it sounds like you found that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I found that out the hard way, but yes.
Sure, yeah.
And I totally agree with that. And even today, and anything and everything I do, especially being a CEO and in a tech company and trying to revolutionize this really big and calcified industry, I can't say that I don't make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time,
Sure, I
and I
think
learn from them,
everybody
and I
does,
try
right?
to. Yeah, absolutely.
So, how did you come up with XCINEX and what exactly is it?
Oh, that's a great question. So back in 2012, friends and family were sitting around watching TV
Okay,
and going through Netflix. I
sure.
remember sitting there and just scrolling through the titles upon titles upon titles that Netflix offered. And in 2012, if you can remember,
Yep.
the Netflix was great, but they didn't have all this awesome originals that they do now.
Yeah,
A lot of the stuff that they had was catalog content, which
yeah,
was things that we've already all seen either on television or in the movies way back when.
sure,
And it was just really convenient, but it wasn't like the latest and greatest. Even HBO had better content
sure.
if you were to compare them to. So we were sitting there playing with Netflix, and we said, "Why the heck are we doing this? There's really nothing here." It was hard to find something good to watch. So then we went on to Fandango, and Fandango, we were like, "Okay, let's go to the movies." And I believe it was like 10:15, 10:30 p.m.
Okay,
And the movies didn't really have anything good to offer at that time.
sure.
So I said to myself, this is the 2012. I've got this, nice television system. The internet is strong. Um, why aren't we able to watch these movies that are coming out in theaters in the comfort of our homes?
Sure. 100%
And
agree.
immediately, yeah, and it seemed pretty obvious to me. But immediately, my business mind took over and said, obviously, nobody knows how many people are in the room.
Okay,
So
sure.
they can't charge the tickets. And the reason why movies right now are coming out in theaters first, this whole theatrical window, it exists because they'd like to capitalize on per head tickets. They'd like to make as
Sure.
much money as possible. And then that window also dictates the value of content going downstream.
Sure. Makes
And what
sense.
I mean by that is when these guys are dealing with, your Netflixes, your HBOs, they're making deals based on how well the movie did in its theatrical window.
Right.
So all this, just thinking about all this, I said to myself, just being me, and I said, how could we fix it? How could this be fixed and create value in a way where we can actually sit home and be able to watch this movie the day it comes out in theaters in a way that everybody wins?
Sure.
So I got to thinking, did some maybe 2 weeks of research and just drawing things up, and I decided to just pursue it. I called a patent attorney. I said, hey, can we do a patent search? I want to see if something like this exists, that, I explained my idea.
Right.
We did the patent search, came out pretty, like there was some prior art, obviously, but what we wanted to do wasn't affected by it. So we went ahead and filed for patent.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then at the time, I was actually also studying to be a real estate agent.
Okay. Interesting.
So, I had friends in real estate, and I said, why not? Just take the classes, get my real estate license, just in case, right?
Sure.
And the market was on the come up. So I said, all right. And I was taking my real estate license classes, and I met a gentleman named Daniel, who became my first CTO.
Okay. How did you guys meet?
And,
just out of curiosity.
We met in class.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What I had done is I had made these little pamphlets that I would give to all the students and people I met in class, and kind of do some market research, get their feedback on this idea that I had, right?
Okay, sure.
So then I just passed them out, and everybody loved it. But then Daniel was the only one that challenged me and said, "Well, how are you going to do this? And how are you going to do that? And how are you going to, secure it?" And the funny thing is, I never had an answer. So I was like, good question. I'll get back to you on that." And I'd go home and do the homework, and come back the next day or like the next class session, and say, "Hey, I got an answer for you." And I would respond. I'd give him the answer.
Interesting.
And so we went back and forth. We became friends. And we ended up getting our real estate license, and we looked at each other and we're like, "So are you going to sell houses?" And he's like, "Nope." "Are you going to sell houses?" I was like, "Nope." We're gonna do XCINEX. So we started putting together the pieces, and I started cold calling studios.
Okay.
So while Dayun is like coding away, and I'm like ordering parts from Alibaba and other websites to put this sensor together.
Wow.
In my parents' basement.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm also cold calling studios every day on a daily basis.
Okay, how did that go?
Oh, it went nowhere. I mean, who the hell am I, right? So
Sure.
so these guys are. I'm always calling, and I'm getting the gatekeepers, and they're just like doing their job of totally vetting me out, and I'm being persistent.
Sure.
Because I wholeheartedly believe we have the best solution. Like we've got something here.
Sure.
So I'm calling, and I'm like, all right. So calling isn't working, but I'm going to continue calling, and at the same time, I'm going to email them, and at the same time, I'm going to send something in the post mail.
Okay.
So old school.
Interesting.
So we did like little pamphlets, little document, like in really nice envelopes. And I send them all to the CEOs of the studios.
Sure.
And to the people that would be in charge of the department that I need to talk to.
Interesting.
And I continue calling, and some of those mails come back, some of them didn't come back. I'm like, okay, cool. So here we go. We're making some progress.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, I get a call from Peter Levinson.
How long did it take, roughly?
Oh, it took at least 4 or 5 months of just pursuing.
Okay. Keep going.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so
You get a call.
I'm already like a couple hundred calls into each studio.
Sure.
So I finally get a call back. It's like nighttime, 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. in East Coast in Maryland. I get my phone rings, and it's a Los Angeles number. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. I don't know anybody from LA. And so I pick up the phone, and it's like, hey, this is Peter Levinson from Universal. And I'm like, oh crap. Okay. So I was like, hi, Peter, how you doing? I was like, I just introduced myself. And he's like, he pretty much said it in a really like politically nice way.
Sure.
But he pretty much said like, are you the crazy fool that keeps like bugging the hell out of everybody? Like, like what the hell do you want? Really is what he was trying to say. And so I said, hey, I've got this really cool idea, and I really want to show it to you guys, and I think it can make a huge difference in the game.
Sure.
And he was like, And he said, just come show it to me. And the way he said it was like, just come and show it to me so you stop calling, right? Pretty much.
All right. Yeah. Like, leave me alone. I want to just see what you're about. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Like, I'll see you just to shut you up kind of thing. But that's all I needed. I got my foot in the door, right? So
Sure.
I started calling the other studios and, I was already calling everyone, but I mean, I just called and said, hey, look, we're coming in to meet with Universal. We'd love to show you guys what we have too. And then everybody set appointments. Like we had everyone reach back and give us an appointment for that week.
Interesting. And you hadn't even taken the first interview with Universal, right?
No,
That's
because
amazing.
I said to myself, I was like, if I'm flying out there and spending this money,
Sure.
I'm not going to just fly there for Universal. I'm going to get everyone to meet me that week. So
Interesting.
the whole week I'm meeting someone, and I'm going to take advantage of this time.
Sure.
So I used that as a stepping stone. I said, hey, we're coming to see Universal, and I'm sure you guys don't want to miss out on this. So why don't we meet up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So created some FOMO and got everybody to book a meeting with. And these are high-level people.
Yeah,
So,
fair enough. So how did those meetings go?
So it's funny. We walk in, and it's just me, at the time, what am I? I'm 36 now.
Okay.
So 5 years ago, like 29, 30 years old.
Sure.
And Daeyoon. And Daeyoon barely speaks English. Like, he has a heavy, heavy Chinese accent.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, it's just us two. We got this. So we go in, we set up this little demo that's like, if you saw it, you'd be scared because it looks so bad.
Okay.
The sensor just looks, it looked like it came out of a basement. That's exactly what it looked like. So, but it worked. And we set it up and we showed it to everybody. And I told everybody the vision and what we wanted to do. And I saw people's eyes light up and smiles like from ear to ear. And it was really welcomed. But obviously there was no product. It was just an idea, right?
Sure.
So the studios were like, okay, interesting. This is the first time something like this came to the door. And although this is like something that we can't commit to and it's far from being real, it's a pretty clever idea, kid. Like, good job, kids. It was kind of like a pat on the back and interest.
Interesting.
We got a lot of interest, but there was no commitment. There's nothing, right?
Okay.
So we went back to the drawing board and we said, well, that's all I needed really as an entrepreneur. Seeing everyone's eyes light up and seeing everybody interested and like believing in the vision, even if it was for like a split second, is all I needed.
Sure.
So I jumped in, full on, and we were developing the product, and we got bottlenecked because now we're like in over our heads.
Okay.
We don't have the resources to do this,
Sure.
So trying to figure out what to do. Next thing I know, there's a gentleman in my mom and dad's kitchen asking for a glass of water.
Okay.
My first time meeting him. Turns out he's a Johns Hopkins Science major. His name is Ahmed Shinar.
Okay.
He's into politics, and he's just visiting my dad to talk about politics in Turkey.
Interesting. Okay.
It's very interesting. And so I had just graduated from the basement to the garage and then leaked into the kitchen.
Okay.
So we got stuff everywhere. It's pretty awesome.
Sure.
It's just like this literally is like a little movie that we're living. And here comes Ahmed. He's like, hey, can I get a glass of water? I'm like, yeah, sure. Give him a glass of water. He's drinking it, looks around. He's like, what the hell is all this? And I go, boom, give him a little elevator pitch.
Sure.
And immediately he's interested. He's like, wow, hey, you guys need an investment? And I'm like, hell yeah, we need an investment. Like, that's exactly what we need.
That's amazing.
And he goes, yeah. And he goes, how much do you think you're valued? And we just sat there really quick between him drinking the last sip of his water and me trying to figure out what the valuation of the company is. We came up with a number and shook hands.
Okay.
So the next 2 weeks later, his parents were in town to visit him as well.
Okay.
So then I did a little demo to them. And then a week later, I had a check for about $1 million.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. And the funny thing is we still don't have a contract in place. It's just all on a handshake. So we start spending the $1 million, and Ahmed becomes not only our first investor, but he also becomes our chief strategy officer.
Sure.
And he's covering all his own expenses, and he's just also working full time with us. And at the same time, he's the only investor. So we're spending this money, and we're just plugging and chugging away. We've got a nice little office at the Montgomery County Innovation Center, which is like really, really cheap and affordable, and they were really great in helping us. So now we've got an office, we've got people working, heads down, we're putting the beta product together, and then about a year goes by, and we go back to the studios.
Okay.
And we're like, so now the product is a little nicer. It's a prototype. It's no longer a, proof of concept. It's
sure
the next step up. So it's still scary looking. It looks like Short Circuit, but and I don't know if you guys remember the movie Short Circuit.
Yeah,
it literally looks just like that.
Yep.
But it's not the finished, but it works better. It now like rotates and looks left and looks right and pans, and it has like night vision in it. It has a thermal camera in it. It's now like bulletproof.
Interesting.
And so we walk back into the studios and we show them our progress, and they're like, "Oh, this is really cool. This is really interesting. You guys have done a lot in a year." But yeah, we still can't commit anything.
Okay.
It looks good. And so we're getting more and more support. And then we went out and met up with, we went to, what was it called? CinemaCon, and met with some exhibitors, because we knew that the biggest pushback was going to be from the exhibitors, the movie theaters.
Okay.
And so we're meeting with these guys, trying to show them, hey, like our model, our product, like it cuts you guys in. It's going to be the future. It expands your market. And the funny thing is the international exhibitors are all interested. They're like excited. They like it. They're like shaking their heads. Yes, this makes sense. But all the U.S. exhibitors are avoiding us. Like nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to talk to me at all. And so I feel the hate, and it's very real. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep my cool, because at the end of the day, when they finally wake up to this, they're going to be happy that we're making them so much more money.
Sure.
So, right now they're hesitant, but once they see the proof is in the pudding, once they see the finished product, they're going to all be happy. So we just keep pushing forward. And then around that time, Sean Parker and his guys come out with this their little product thing, so which is pretty cool. Because then finally we're like, yes, we're not the only idiots in the room like trying to do this. Like there's somebody else.
Sure.
And it's a bona fide like tech dude. Like he's got, this is like a somebody in the industry that's trying to do this too. So yes, that validates our idea. Like we're on the right path. So that gives us even more motivation. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Like it's all been such an amazing journey. So then we start developing, and then we start networking. And then about 2016 comes around, and we relocate to SF.
Okay. Why did you move?
So then, well, we moved because I was tired of flying over here all the time. It was because based out of the East Coast and the entertainment world's out here and the tech world's out here.
Sure.
So I was always going back and forth, and it was just unnecessary. So I said, hey, we're young, let's move out. And so we packed everything, moved out to San Francisco.
Okay.
And the idea was build the core team here, and just be able to rub shoulders with the tech companies and the VCs, as well as be a really close trip to LA when we need to go. So then we moved out here.
What's the flight? Like an hour to LA?
Yeah, it's about an hour.
Yeah. Okay. No, interesting.
It's not bad.
So walk me through from moving out to Bay Area till present day. Where are you guys at now?
So a lot of cool experiences happened between now and then. So like we came out here with this big dream of like, oh, it's Silicon Valley.
Sure.
And we've got all our ducks aligned, and it's going to be pretty straightforward to find talent. It's going to be pretty straightforward to find funding, right?
Yep.
And reality on the ground is much different. For anybody that thinks like you can just come to Silicon Valley with your ducks aligned with a couple patents and expect to just boom get funded, it's not that easy. Period.
Okay.
Because the reality on the ground was this: even though we were looking for like senior seasoned talent to join us,
okay,
because we don't have the resources to hire junior level people and train them. We
Right.
need people that already know what they're doing.
Right.
So all the talent that we need is already working 100 hours a week.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, and they've got really well paying jobs. Like they are doing really well, you know.
Sure.
And for us to just be like, hey, quit your job and join us for incentive stock options, it doesn't really sit well with them.
Interesting.
You know.
Sure.
And so then finding talent becomes very tricky because, you know, you need a handful of talent. You don't need just one person. So it becomes very challenging. And then the VCs are always a challenge in itself to be able to navigate them. You know, nobody really knows. There's no real cookie cutter way
Sure.
that you can just follow the template and just get funded. Every VC is different. Some want a deck. Some don't even think a deck's necessary. You get all types of feedback from everyone, and it's just so confusing.
Sure.
So you're like, okay, you know, you're like, all right. So it's been a challenge, but what's happened is we've met with some awesome people, networked with some great people.
Okay.
We've aligned with a manufacturer. We've aligned with a design team, aligned with a great law firm, aligned with great like vendors and service partners. So getting all the ducks aligned and making progress has been great. And then we changed the product. The product it went from a $160 console to a $30 retail sensor.
Oh, interesting. How did you go from that, like such a higher price point to basically an impulse purchase price point?
So interesting. We built this bulletproof, super secure system.
Okay.
And then what happened is technology developed and made watermarking and certain securities for streaming content much, much better than what they were back in 2012 and 13. So then the studios were like, hey, you know, that's great and all, but this security level is enough for us. Like we'll be happy with this. So what you guys are doing is overboard. So we were able to then shift, and instead of having this console, we said, hey, let's be app-based. So then we can get a huge footprint when we launch, because any device that can support an app, like a Roku or an Apple TV or a smart TV or PlayStation, Xbox, all these devices,
right,
we'll be able to immediately get onto them with our app. And then the sensor could just be a very small, you know, independent sensor that would just sit on top of the TV, super small, and be able to do what it does. So that way the idea was like, hey, now it's a really good price point where everyone can, you know, enjoy this service.
Okay. No, that makes total sense. So how does it exactly kind of work? Because if I activate the movie with just myself in the room and then my wife walks in just as the intro is starting, does it record her as well? Or walk me through how the technology works.
Sure. So the technology is very simple. You would just download the app onto your existing OTT device. It's the Venue Player app. And you would create your profile for Venue on our either web portal or the mobile app that you would download onto your mobile device. Once you created your profile, you would just be able to log in. And then once the sensor piece you would purchase either through us or any other, you know, department store or big box retailer or Amazon at the time, whoever's carrying it, right?
Okay.
And it's a very small cost, like around $30 for your one-time purchase of the sensor. You would just mount that on top of the TV and just power it up. And it's Wi-Fi. If you don't have Wi-Fi, there is a Ethernet cable, you know, a plug.
Got you.
But, you know, Wi-Fi. So then what you would do is once you actually log into the app to create your profile, once you create the profile and everything, it'll actually give you a QR code that is all the credentials that the sensor needs to log into your own network. So then you would just show that QR code to the camera and it would, or to the sensor, right? And it would just connect to that same network that the player app's on, that your OTT device is on, you know, the home network.
Yeah, makes sense.
So then it's the rest is very simple. You would just pick a movie from the platform, and then it would just tell you how much the ticket price is per person. You would buy as many tickets as there are going to be viewers. Either everyone can buy their own tickets, or one person can buy all the tickets.
Got you.
And then you would just hit play, and it would play. So as soon as the movie starts, that's when the sensor starts to do its thing. What it does is simply checks for number of people. and it doesn't send the picture of the room to anywhere. It does all the analysis on board. All it does is send the server the session ID and the number of people detected. So if it's 5, it's just going to send a number 5 and then the session ID.
Okay. And therefore,
so at that point,
go ahead.
Your picture, like the picture of your living room, is not being sent over the internet for it to be analyzed on the cloud. It's all being done on board. So then and then immediately once it's analyzed, it's deleted from memory. So there's no way in really getting access to that image.
Okay, interesting. Well,
think of like Snapchat type of. I always compare it to like Snapchat.
No, that makes sense, because I think the thing that's been kind of aggravating to me over the years is you want to see the latest movie, but you don't want to wait hours in line. And I know there's VIP theaters where you can buy tickets and stuff, but sometimes you either are too late or whatnot. Why can't I watch a movie that comes out tonight? It's Friday night. Like, why can't I watch the latest movie that comes out tonight from the comfort of my home if I'm willing to pay for it, right? Because I've done it where I've, torrented a movie the night that it comes out so I can watch it at home so I can see it. And then I end up going to the theater to see it again. And then I end up buying it on Blu-ray, right? So I never understood why I have to always go to the theater, at least night one or the first few opening weekend, right? Where you guys are basically solving that problem, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And the other problems that go along with it. So like you said, a lot of people don't live, right down the street from a movie theater. A lot of people need to actually commute to one, like drive to one, or 16 million people any given day in America have, 16 million households have children. So they need a babysitter. They have a toddler in the house, right? So they need like some type of babysitter. So it's great. The experience of going to the movie theater is great. Like, no one's trying to replace that. But those people that can't make it out, either to a movie theater or to a live event, they shouldn't be deprived of the experience or the entertainment because they're too busy, or they're handicapped, or they have a baby, or they live too far. Like, these are problems that were problems back in the day. Like, with the technology of today, those shouldn't still be a problem. These shouldn't be issues that consumers have to face. The only consumer's choice, the only problem the consumer should face is, what do I want to watch tonight? And the ability to just pick it and choose it. So that's our mindset. We're not creating venue to compete with the movie theaters. We're creating it to be complementary to the movie theaters and to the industry. And the way we do that is simply by making sure that everybody gets a piece of the transaction. And our model solves that problem. So what happens is, with our model, we're just an ecosystem. We're a portal, a conduit. We don't micromanage the content like Netflix does or like anybody else does, right? We're creating it. Think of YouTube, right? But designed specifically for the professional content creation industry. What happens is we create this awesome ecosystem, this platform, with an amazing user experience and user-facing front end, right? But in the back end, we give it to the content owner. So let's say it's Warner Brothers or Fox or any of these big studios or independent studios or foreign studios. They have access. They obviously, we initiate with them, and we get them set up into the system. And all they then do is they would log into the platform. They would set the ticket price. They can regionalize ticket prices. They can set ticket prices. So they have full control. And then they would set the date that they want the content to be available on the system. They could set the start date, the end date. Everything is customizable. The system pulls all the metadata and posters and everything from the internet through IMDb and everything else. So it's all the stuff that they've already approved anyway. So then they would just set the system, and it would be in their control, and then the content would be available. The tickets would sell, and then everybody would get a cut. Now, what happens is, since the content owner has full control and they have this dashboard, we're also building this awesome intuitive mapping system that'll show the content owner the nearest movie theater to my house so if I watch this on Venue, then they'll know that, for example, Cinemark right down the street is the movie theater that I'd be tied to. So then the studio would then be able to cut in the exhibitor per transaction, but however, how much they cut him in is between them. We don't get involved in that. I see the industry shifting right now, and it's a very big industry. It's very calcified, so it can't shift too quickly, obviously. And it's shifting, though, and I feel like they're going to be, if not destroying the window, at least shortening the window to start with. I feel like the theatrical experience is becoming a lot more than just the movie experience, and they're adding all types of vibrating seats, reclining seats, like dining inside the theater. They're doing a lot of these awesome things to kind of up that experience, which I think needs to happen. Because going to the movie theater is like an event, whereas if I can't make it out, I should then be also able to be at home, and if I'm able to or willing to pay the premium, have access to that content from the comfort of my home. Now, I think what has stopped this from happening is the fact that the industry and the model the delicate fabric, that model that's being used in the background, isn't that easy to just up and change and fit into kind of a streaming model. Just because the entire industry is based on this per person ticket, box office, opening weekend, dictates the value of content going downstream, it can't just up and switch that. So that's why we've created this product to seamlessly fit into that model, whereas other products that are offering like a premium VOD window where they're saying like you can pay $50 and watch it, but you can have up to 10, 15, however many people in the room, is another option that people have been talking about to do this. And what we've said is, yeah, of course you can do that. You can that's pay-per-view pretty much. Like you can make it $100, you know? But what's to stop you from like maximizing on revenue? Like what if there's 10, 15 people in the room? What if there's one person? He's not going to pay $100. Yeah. So it's like, how do we create this system where it benefits everyone, gives the consumer the best experience possible, but then doesn't cannibalize any other players in the industry? So that's been our focus from day one, not to cannibalize anyone, but to be an additive service, an additive product, because we believe the consumer, if they're willing to pay a premium, deserves to have access to the goods, the service, whatever it is they want, right?
So how do you guys monetize the platform then?
Yeah, we're a cost plus model. We take a very small percentage of the ticket revenue. And then we also obviously have the analytics. We have the ad space, whether it's before the movie starts, the trailers, the advertising before and after the trailers, or just the subliminal ads that are either on your mobile device when you're browsing the platform or on the OTT. So there's other ways for us to monetize this. And that's why the sensor we're selling pretty much at cost. We don't feel like making money on the sensor is not worth it for us. We want to sell as many sensors and get it in as many homes as possible. So we're looking at monetizing the data, and it's going to be really good data, because think about it, like Nielsen has made a business out of this data, and they're getting a guesstimated average. It's not very exact. It's not very accurate. But with us, we know exactly how many eyeballs are in the room when that movie's playing. So we can turn around and tell Disney, hey, exactly 8 people watched this movie tonight in that one IP address or in that one house. So it becomes very granular data, and we've done it in a way where it doesn't impede on the privacy of the consumer in any way, because our sensor doesn't detect like John, Jacob, Sally, and Chris. It doesn't detect people like that.
Okay, so I don't really need to worry about my privacy then, because you don't really care who I am then, correct?
Exactly, because when you buy your ticket, you're already telling us who you are. We don't have to detect your face and know who you are by the sensor. So we've made the sensor super dumbed down in that sense. We didn't want it to be like spooky and really damaging your privacy. We want it to be just there to count warm bodies. Like there's 5 people watching, there should be 5 tickets. It's simple as that. And like one person, if there's 5 tickets and 5 people and one person leaves and someone else comes in, we don't care either, because it's the same thing as a movie theater. If I walked out and gave you my ticket and you walked in, the movie theater doesn't care.
So what are your plans for the future? Do you have any ideas in TV or any other mediums?
Nothing about TV, maybe in the future. We have some crazy ideas for that, but definitely pay-per-view. So we are calling ourselves the pioneers of pay-per-viewer. And with that, not only just movies, but concerts, musicals, Vegas shows, operas, symphonies, fashion shows, you name it, live events, anything that you'd have to physically get a ticket for and go to a physical brick and mortar venue will be available on Venue for you to enjoy from wherever you're at, pretty much with internet access.
Yeah, that's interesting, because then I could potentially attend any event worldwide through your platform that's live.
And so it'll be priced accordingly too, because going to the live venue and sitting in aisle, 8, row 12, whatever, is a whole different experience than sitting on your couch and watching it digitally, or you missed it and it was recorded for you and you're watching a pre-recorded live event, So it's going to be, so the ticket prices are going to be priced accordingly to the experience. You're not going to pay, $90 for a ticket to watch it on Venue. Most likely it's going to be between the range of, 10 to 15, maybe some super famous artist, maybe 20, 25, but you're getting that premium experience live right there in your living room. And if you do pause it, it'll still be recording on the cloud for you, so you don't miss a moment when you come back. The artist, the producer of those live events, whoever is in charge of that business, they would be incentivized to use our platform to expand their audience, sell even more tickets. So I love giving the Beyonce example. If Beyonce has a concert today at the Oracle Center, what'll happen is the system will black out Oakland and San Francisco until all the physical tickets to Oracle Center are sold out. And then the system would allow anybody else, since the venue, the physical venue is sold out, now the system will allow everyone to buy tickets to the show that are in Oakland and SF. But the whole time, everybody else in the country would be able to buy tickets. So then all of a sudden, Beyonce has a live concert, Oracle Center sold out, but then she's sold maybe another 12 million tickets. So then it trickles down. She makes more money. She cuts the Oracle Center in if she wants. They make more money. Everybody involved in that business transaction makes more money. And what's also great is at the end of the concert, if she wants, she can put her memorabilia, her shirts, her hats, her next album right there on Venue for the consumers that are on the platform watching to be able to just click and purchase. And then maybe at that point, Amazon fulfills the order. So it's going to be a very, very fluid ecosystem. It's going to be all about bringing you the best in entertainment and everything that has to do with that entertainment.
So where are you guys at now, and when can I actually get the final product?
So great question. So what we're doing now is we're finishing the final product. We want to be able to launch. We have plans to launch in limited markets in the U.S. by the end of 2019. I would encourage everyone that's interested to go onto our website and at least join, because membership is free. And the first 250,000 members will get a discount on the sensor when we start taking pre-orders. So definitely take advantage of that. And right now, joining is just simply providing your first, last name, your email address, and that's it. So definitely no information and you're not going to be getting any spam mails from us or anything like that. So definitely rest assured that we're not going to be advertising and trying to sell you something. And then at the end of this year, we're going to be launching limited markets in the U.S. just to show all the content providers and all the potential movie theaters and everyone involved that, look, this model is going to work. It's going to create additive revenue. It's able to do all the things that we promised, right? So be ready for that, everybody. And then on top of that, we're looking to work with every single studio in the world. So it doesn't matter. We want to level the playing field. It doesn't matter if you're Disney or you're some small studio in India or Europe or Asia. We want to work with you. We want to be able to carry your content and provide it to the dispersed melting pot of people in the U.S., Latin America, anywhere in the world. So what happens is these smaller studios, as long as they're professional content creators, we want to work with them.
I guess it's another way that you could eventually let people watch content and pay for content for events and movies in other parts of the world that you'd never be able to see, but you'd like to attend day of, right?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. So that's exactly why we're doing this. And also, we believe that consumers, there's a really powerful thing called nostalgia that you can tap into. Like for me, I'm from Turkey, and when new movies come out in my country, that local domestic movies, I don't ever see it. I never have access to them. And same thing with Indians and Europeans and Asians that live in this country, and Africans and anywhere, right? We're a melting pot, and this is not just the U.S. anymore. The whole world's a melting pot at this point. So there's a very powerful thing when you can say, hey, watch the brand new movie that just came out in Chile or in Mexico or in Turkey, right there in the comfort of your home from thousands of miles away, and be able to tap back into your roots and your culture and nostalgia. I think that's also very powerful. And not only just movies, but concerts, local artists that want to perform a big concert, So we really want to expand that connection. And I believe that's a very important core part of our business as well.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show, so maybe let's close with mentioning where people can get more information about you guys and any other links you want to mention.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody can go to www.XCINEX.com. That's our website. You can go to there and become a member right through the website. Just click on join and follow these steps. Also, all our links to our social media accounts are there. You guys can follow us on social media to stay, up to date on all our progress. If you guys have questions, comments, feel free to shoot it out to info@XCINEX.com. And we're really quick on getting back to customer or, our members or potential consumers about, anything, any kind of question that they want to ask about the system or the model, or, pretty much we're open to answering those questions. And we're very excited. Yeah, we're looking forward to 2019 being a big year for us. And this has been an amazing journey. And I think it's going to be an exciting couple of years. The next couple of years is going to be super exciting for us.
Well, man, thanks again for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time of your day to be on the show, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you, and have a good rest of your day, man.
You too. Thanks a lot, Kevin. I really appreciated it.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Please visit our website at buildingthefutureshow.com to join the free community, sign up for our newsletter, or to sponsor the show. The music is done by Electric Mantra. You can check him out at electricmantra.com and keep building the future.